Greetings, awesome beings. Hello and welcome, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the US. Hope you're all having a great day. We're back again for another live. How you going, Lorenzo?
I'm doing well. How are you, Campbell? I keep leaning forward because I used to have a microphone on the desk, and I've set myself up so I can be more animated during these. So, doing
All
good.
right.
I feel more free, especially as we're talking about our changing patterns of destiny.
Changing patterns of destiny. All right. And hello to everyone in chat. Hello, Jethro, Three Fingers, Pendragon. How do I say that? Pendragon, Torian, Michael, Femnati, and Matt Black. And everyone else who is listening. Sorry, what was it called again? Decisions
Changing
of
patterns, changing patterns of destiny. Maybe I'll
changing.
take us in like let's look at the title, changing and patterns in destiny. I mean, maybe you and I have talked about words quite a bit, in some of our previous videos, and sometimes people will see something like changing patterns of destiny and just jump to a conclusion about what it means. Oh yeah, what's my destiny? What I don't know if I believe in destiny. You'll get all these kinds of side arguments, I think, instead of actually looking at the words of what we're sharing, like what does changing mean? What does pattern mean? What does destiny mean? What do you think? Like, how would you look at, let's say, patterns as an example? The middle one.
Patterns are things repeated, I guess. So they can be, thoughts, actions, physical things. Something that you repeat is a pattern.
Right. So you can lay down a pattern, you can draw a pattern, you can see a pattern. The cymatics are patterns. There's energy patterns. There's wind patterns. You can see the leaves blowing in patterns across the world. A pattern could be a habit. You have to change your patterns or change your habits. So like understanding what a pattern is very important in going. Like you said, if you want something new, you have to be new, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting the new. That definition of insanity from what was it, Mark Twain? I believe came up with that a long time ago. And so
Yep.
if you want to change your destiny, and I don't mean something far in the future, like let's say you stop now, you look around your life, you see what you like and what you don't like, and at the moment you're living your destiny because there you are in your life, in your destiny. So if you're sick, if you're unhappy, if you're happy, if you're loving, if you're abundant, if you're rich, if you're not, if you don't like your job, if you do like your job, I mean, everyone can fill in their own circumstances of their life, and whatever they've done, their patterns to date have brought them to this destiny wherever they're sitting. Now, most people don't like where they are. Let's say I've been there for decades of my life. You want to go, oh no, this isn't my destiny. I'm not destined to be flipping burgers at McDonald's, or I'm not destined to to be a salary man and struggling to pay the mortgage. I have a higher destiny. I guess your destiny is squawking a little. A bigger destiny. I have something I should be doing, and that's all fine and dandy. But if you're not there at your destiny or what you figure your higher purpose or higher vision is, maybe it's time to sit back and take stock and to see what your patterns to date are, or your habits, or what you've been doing or not doing, and how those brought you to where your current destiny is. And if you're happy and you like it, that's all fine and dandy. And maybe you can share that with the class, how you got there. But if you're not, then maybe there's something to examine.
Mm. Yeah, I think results is something that people don't think enough about. And that's a good way to look at your thoughts, right? Your subconscious patterning is what are your results? Because that's telling you what you're thinking on most of your time, basically. That's telling you what your habitual thoughts are, your subconscious, because you're living the results. And so I think, yeah, if you want to change where you are, just have a look at what you've done to get where you are and change that. And I was thinking about affirmations the other day and how they don't work, right? Like affirmations, there's this big affirmation, say affirmations. Now, the reason they don't work is because that you're not changing your subconscious patterning, your subconscious thoughts. When you say affirmations, you're in your conscious mind. And so unless you go back first and clear out all the crap that is being thought constantly, but underneath your consciousness, then all you're doing with affirmations is like sprinkling a little bit of dye in the ocean, right? That's not going to make a difference. So this is the thing. Like, what are your results? If you are trying to change what are you getting? Because a lot of people just tend to keep doing things even though they're not getting the results. I've been saying affirmations for 5 years now, and oh, really? How's your life changed? Well, it hasn't, but it will soon. It's so yeah. What are your results? Because that's the best way to find out what your patterns are, how you're thinking, and how you're acting.
Well, I see there's a question from Bryce that asked if, these breaking patterns is similar to what Jason talked about. And I would say, yes and no. We did a chat on breaking patterns with Jason maybe a couple months ago. And it seems to me he talked more on outside patterns, like breaking a pattern in your life, going somewhere different. There's inner patterns and outer patterns. And for me, anyways, I would say in this particular chat, I'm talking about the patterns that you create in life through your own perceptions and actions and what is working. And I would say we are the pattern makers of our life. So I'm going to say that the patterns I'm talking about changing are the ones that are directly reflected and revolved around who you are and what you are and why you are. As Campbell said, an affirmation isn't going to work if you don't believe the bottom. You can say, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, I'm abundant, but doesn't mean anything if you haven't changed the patterns that brought you to a life of not being abundant, whatever those are for you.
Mm. Yeah, I think Jason talks a lot about interacting, with simulation, as he would call it, and that's the action part of it. The thing is, and he did sort of touch on, but basically you've got to be the architect and all this. You've got to take control, but that's all the stuff you need to do first to get yourself to the point where you believe you can then go out and interact with, reality in whichever way you want. You can't go out and be confident and build a big business or whatever it be if you haven't done that before. You can't just do that off the bat. You've got to change. Like we said, you're where you are for a reason. So you've got to change those habitual thoughts and actions, and that will change that will give you the trust in yourself to change how you interact with other people and with the world, shall we say.
Well, how-to examples are helpful, I see, from Hanging Laundry. So here's one that I can share in that, someone mentioned Paul Levi in his Way Tico series, which I've read and I've shared. Check out newyorkr.ca. We've shared, dozens of Paul Levi articles, and they're all very good. And, I would say that pattern would be listening to your thoughts, right? So if you see Wetiko is an invasion of the thought process, or as Carlos Castaneda said, the mind, which is a foreign installation, according to them, meaning it's not ours. So it's that ego echo we've talked about, and that, like, what's going on up here? What advice are you getting? So if you're deciding how to act, I would think, how to give this as an example, and you're listening to your thoughts, like, do this, don't do that, this is good, this is bad, you're afraid of this, you would love to do that. Where are those thoughts coming from? And if they're coming from an outside nefarious source, let's say like Waitiko, or the parasite or the fifth dimensional mind invasion, energetic flyers, as they call them, as in Carlos Castaneda, yeah, I would say that's the process of changing that, and to realize you got to go somewhere else, maybe for your inspiration, other than in your head. I recommend your heart or your guts. I found that works for me very well. And taking what Jason said into account, before I pass this along, it's true. It's good to bake your physical patterns, your habitual patterns. If you're going to one store, go to another. If you're going to eat hamburgers every day, maybe you need to go have chicken, because that's a good step in breaking your patterns, and it will give you an opportunity to see who you are and how you are, because you're paying closer attention to your life. And as you pay closer attention to your life, you can see what's working, what's not, by being more aware and conscious of yourself and your struggles and your patterns and all those sorts of things.
And you can change, your circumstances, your reality, by either way, I think, by the inside or the outside, because it's a toroid, right? It's like you have thoughts and feelings, and you act on them, which goes into the outside world. You get feedback, goes back inside, you contemplate. This is sort of what the interaction is. But we were talking before we went live about cleanliness. And one thing you could do, and because basically where you live is a reflection of the inside of your mind. So if you're living in a messy, confusing place, and that's how you're feeling, then you can actually go out and physically clean your house, and then physically make sure it stays clean and ordered, and that will affect your mind and the way that your mind is ordering things. So you can do it both ways, but of course you have to be mentally prepared first. I think it all starts inside. You have to believe that you can do what you're about to do, or else you're not going to do it.
Yeah, and if you like your outside world clean, that's fantastic. But I've met a lot of people that keep their outside world clean, but their inside world is not clean, or some people that keep their inside world clean, let's say, and their outside world is not.
Mask.
And yeah, so I go along with what Campbell is saying. I think you need a balance and to do both. You need to see how your outside world and your inside world can work together in that toroid field, because maybe if your outside is clean and your inside isn't, you're missing some of your patterns. And the opposite is probably true. If you like the outside clean, but your inside isn't clean, then you're also missing your own patterns. And if you want to change your pattern, you have to know what your pattern is, or else you're not going to be able to change it because you don't know what needs changing.
Mm, yes. So, what is destiny then?
I love that. It's a great question. Like, what is destiny? Like some people say, I don't believe in destiny, but even if destiny is maybe just where you are, or just where you'd like to go, maybe if we all do have free will, we can choose our destiny. I've heard we all come here to do something, to accomplish something in this life. I feel it's true for me. And so maybe finding out what your destiny is could be as simple as finding out why you're here. And it could just be you talking to yourself, going, Lorenzo, why did you come into this life? Or Paul Johnston, why did you come into this life? John Fletcher, why did you come into this life? Girl Sees Dragons. Great title. Girl
Yeah,
Sees Dragons.
that's
Why did you come into this life? I mean, that there is a good article I read not so long ago on the art of self-interrogation, which is probably a lost art. Is to really be dirty, hard, sharp, to a point of painful honest with yourself. And if you are, what's working, what's not, what's beautiful and what's not, then you can get a chance, I feel, to understand yourself. And maybe from there you can see why you came here, according to why you feel you came here.
mm, yeah, being honest. I was just thinking we don't get much of that in the outside world anymore. Everyone's tippy toeing around. They're afraid to be honest. If they're honest, that you get cancelled and all this kind of stuff. But so it's a good exercise, that we just interact with the outside world, right? It's like be in the world, but not of the world. So whatever they're doing out there is crazy. So do something different is what I was basically going to say. But destiny, I mean, what is destiny? I've pretty much changed my view on it over the last couple of years, just because of what's gone on. And I think we all do have a destiny. I think we all are here for a reason. And the cool thing about it is whatever you're here for, you've come in with all the skills and all the passion for that. So whatever you believe is your destiny, that's it, right? It's like we're inbuilt with everything we need to fulfill our destinies. It's only when we don't listen to ourselves, or we ignore what we're hearing, or we're in a place where we don't even hear what's going on, that we get off track. And that's when everything seems to go wrong, right? And so really your destiny is, just, to me, it's what do you enjoy doing? What feels right? What is the universe sort of, what direction is it sort of pushing you in? Is it nudging you in? And I've just gone off that, because the way I see it is, what it seems like is it seems like we have marker points, gate posts that we have to sort of hit. And when we're there, we have to be a certain kind of person, right? And then we sort of get a bit of free, free will that might, but then ultimately we've got to end up at the next gate post. So that's just what it seems like to me. So we get all this choice, but if you don't listen to yourself and you're straying off the path, the closer you get to the next gate post, the bigger the taps on the shoulders get. Until, if you ignore it, something happens, you get smacked in the head, and you get shoved into that gate, and you have to grow quickly, right? So this is sort of how I see it, is we've got this free will, but we've got a destiny that we're here to do, but we've got everything in us that, we come pre-packaged to fulfill that destiny. So basically, if you're trying to figure out what your destiny is, it's whatever you want to do. It's whatever you want it to be. That's what it is.
Yeah, Pammy Ray asked a good question. Do we shape our own destiny, or do you feel some things are meant to be? I mean, maybe a simple way to look at it, and I think people complicate things, is to see what your predilection is. What do you like doing? What do you not like doing?
Hmm.
Finding your destiny could be as simple, and I feel it is as simple as being honest with yourself. Back to the art of self-interrogation. If you're honest about what you like and don't like, you can't help but find your own destiny. If you're in a job you hate, you should leave it. If you're in a relationship not working, you could, I'll say coulds because there's no shoulds, you could leave it. If you're in some sort of circumstances you like or don't like, you could do more or less. And then the excuses, as Campbell and I've talked about, those butts that get in the way, those are the butts in front of your destiny. Because your destiny is as simple as being honest with yourself. And if you don't know what that is, that could be how you could figure out what your destiny is. So I would say yes and no, Pammy Ray, in that destiny isn't predetermined, I don't think, but I think we all do come in with some predilections. I like flowers, I like cooking, I like laughing, I like writing. So, well, even though I'm a horrible writer, let's say I like doing poetry. Um, more than writing. So I do them. Whether I get paid for them or not is irrelevant. Whether people like them or not for me in some ways is irrelevant. I like cooking. I'm a fairly good cook, I've found, even a chef. And so my predilections, the closer I've gotten to them and to revolve my life around them, the better my life is doing. And, Campbell and I are sharing flower essences, Flora Live. Check out. We'll leave some links below. And, I always thought I should be working with flowers because I've loved flowers since I've been, as long as I can remember. So maybe my predilection is to work with flowers, and it seems to be working out. So that's my answer for you, Pammy Ray. Really, it's kind of up to you to figure out what your predilections are, to see what your destinies or your destiny could be.
Is it in our DNA? Who knows? Girl Sees Dragon says we choose our own adventure, and I kind of agree. It's like I said, but whatever you choose is going to be what you love, which is going to be your destiny, if we're going to call it that. And Subtle Bee likes turtles. So there you go. It's good to like turtles.
I even got a turtle when I was in Vancouver. I went into an Asian store to buy some slippers. I bought 2 pairs instead of 1. The lady kind of talked me into it. She gave me a turtle with a coin for long life and abundance. She said that's what it means. She gave me a gift on the way out. So my destiny at that moment was looking for some slippers I liked. I walked all over Vancouver. I like these Thai cheese slippers you can't find anywhere else. So I'm just saying my predilection was to find what I really loved. I was honest with myself. Even though I went to a bad part of town, I kept looking around. I found them eventually. I negotiated for them. They only had 8 pairs left, and for some reason, 6 of them were my size, which is interesting enough. And she didn't think she had my size, but she did. Dusty at the back. They don't make them anymore. So that's my long story to the short to say my destiny was determined at that moment by being honest with myself about what I wanted to go for or to pick up or to make real. In this case, it was to buy some slippers. And through that, the world gave me a little hint about my destiny of long life and abundance. But first, I had to go through some challenges in looking for, discovering, and figuring out what it is that I needed to get for myself at that moment, regardless of what was going on. We'll go back to Waitiko, that thought in my head. Don't go to this bad part of Vancouver. There's lots of druggies. It's getting late. You don't have enough money to buy slippers. Like me, all these, you don't want to go into this dirty Chinese store because, some of the stores are very old and kind of dirty. Want to go down the street because it's stinky and, maybe bad things are going to happen. Like all these things I had to face. So that's my short and long story to say, by getting over what Waitiko or my thoughts were telling me, I went above and beyond, and I found them at a very good price, by the way. And, tax included. She gave me a good deal. And with all that put together, the world told me, oh, by the way, here's your gift, long life and abundance. And perhaps that's what we all get from following our destinies.
There you go. Nice. I thought that's a nice little quote is destiny is the river and fate is the path, which is kind of how I see it is, we're taking down this river and we have to, that's our river, but we can, if we want, swim to the shore and sort of run down the side and see what's around as we're going. But if we're not back in the boat by the time we need to go through the next, gate, then a big bear might come and slap you. And lots of things about jobs, like this is, a lot of people have made the jump recently, right? And that's why all this stuff that's been going on has been a good thing. I think it's given us all time to think about what we want to do. But also I think everyone realized that when they didn't go to work, everything kept working, right? Nothing stopped. Yeah. They didn't all drop dead. They didn't, the world didn't fall apart. And so people are at home a few weeks later going, oh, maybe the whole job thing is a scam. And it is. And the biggest thing that I think people need to do is just to trust themselves that they've got what it takes to make it doing something else. You can step out and you don't have to jump out. You can start a part-time business, right, on the weekends or whatever and start making your way out. But But ultimately, it all comes down to, do you believe that you need the system to live? Because if you do, you're never going to step out of it. You're always going to have one foot in. But you need to sort of step out and like just encapsulate that you don't need the system, that everything you need is out there in nature. It's, it's all for you. Take a chance, take the first step and see what happens.
Yeah,
Like I said, I'm not saying quit everything and jump out and go and live in the mud. That's not a good idea.
no, I mean, unless it is for you, unless that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the system, in my opinion. Use it. Don't let it use you. We all go to grocery stores. We've all earned money. We all use banks probably. We all have to pay for petrol or gas if you're going to drive, or charge up your car if you're using electric ones. So they're all things we all do. And it's just a part of the world that we happen to be in at the moment. We're living in this society, in this world, no matter where you are. It's very similar probably everywhere, and also very different. So if you have to use it, why not? If you have to use a bow and arrow to go get an animal, you do that. If you have to use a sickle to harvest some, spinach, you do that. If you happen to have some money because you've done a job and somebody's paid you in coupons, no matter what country you're in, and you need to go to a store and you can buy it, you do that. I mean, I've had all of those experiences. I've wild harvested. I've got stuff for free. I've had to go to the store. I've had to buy things. I've had things bought for me. I've had things given for me. I've bought extra for people. I mean, and this is all in the last few months when I've been on the road. It's like all of these things happened at various times, but I was always all right. And there wasn't one way for me to get all the food or lodging or travel that I wanted. I'm sure Campbell will share his stories as well. We were both in USA at the same time, and everything just kind of worked out by allowing whatever was in front of us at the time to inform us how we had to act next.
Mm.
And so we found our destiny without thinking about it, by just seeing the circumstances around us or the puzzle pieces and saying, well, okay, this is a good idea. This isn't a good idea. It's like it's always changing. And I think that's the exciting part. That's why people look at little kids that are playing and jumping all over the place and enjoy watching them, because they don't have any predetermined ideas of what's happening next. They just are playing with the sticks or the boxes or the circumstances, the birds or the pigeons or whatever, or the mud puddle, whatever happens to be in front of them, or the string they find, as something that they've decided will be an enjoyable aspect of their next life or their next moment in life. And for them, their destiny at the time is figured out through their interactions with whatever's around them at the time. So that's my long story to say the short. Is like there's lots of heads in this picture behind you. It depends on the perspective at the moment, and your perspective is always changing if you allow it to. So it gives you new opportunities to decide what your destiny is and how to get there.
Mm. Yeah. Don't live life backwards. You can't go forwards with using the thoughts that you've already had in the past. That's called a circle. And that's one of the main things that I was doing when I was traveling. Is I wasn't thinking, man. I had an empty, clear mind. I wasn't trying to go, what's happening next? Where I need to be here. Where's the food coming from? Where am I going to stay? Oh my God, what's happening? I was just like, cool. I wonder what's going to pop up next. Like literally. And when you think about that like that, it always does, because you expect something good, right? And you're not using your past and your past experiences to create your future. You're not going, oh, well, this happened to me, and oh, well, you can't trust people, and blah, blah, blah. Or because all you're going to do is recreate those experiences that you didn't like the first time you had them. So a big thing is just letting go. I've said this a lot, right? The statue is not finished when there's nothing more to add. It's finished when there's nothing more to take away. Like, you've got to get rid of all and this is the self-talk, the subconscious that we talked about before, just all the crap that keeps going around and Watiko, I guess, as well. Actually, I was going to ask before, do you want to explain exactly what Watiko is, just for people who don't know?
Sure. Waitiko is a Native American term, I believe, that's all about the mind parasite that's invaded people. Some people say 5,000 years ago. It could have been 10,000 years ago. I think our history, as Campbell will tell you and has shared in the millions of videos, or quite a few anyways, is not what we've been told. We might have even been different beings, 5 or 10,000 years ago. We could have had different ways of being alive, different ways of nourishing ourselves, different ways of having community, interacting, even making children or not. Our lifespans could have been infinitely larger or longer. Our statue was infinitely larger if you look at some of the buildings, the Tartarian ones. And so Waitiko is an invasion into our mind of a process of thoughts that is not ours. Something that gets in there and is morbid and obese, let's say, and dark and dirty, and it never gives you happy suggestions. It's always, you can't do this, you're afraid of this, you feel bad for this. If everybody considered that their thoughts, unless you're putting a good thought in, I love you, mostly the ones that come, I found for myself anyways, are not so nice. Usually they're trying to stop you from, getting to your happy destiny, and like, what's that? Why is that? And where did it come from? So the Waitiko, the long and short of it is, could be a fifth dimensional mind parasite that's come and taken over and is, I would say, indirectly responsible for the crap we see out there today, and simply because people listen to it instead of listening to their higher selves.
So it's basically the archon, the demiurge, the devil, whatever you want to call it, the little angel and the devil on the shoulder, the two wolves, who you're going to feed, who you're going to listen to. And I was just reading this one. Not everyone has a great destiny, apparently. Well, I mean, this is all perspective, isn't it? And this, I guess, is what Watiko is trying to get us away from our destiny. But the thing is, how do you measure what's great? We're taught to measure that it has to be great within the system, right? You need to build a big business, or you need to make lots of money, or you need to have whatever, right? Got the perfect partner, traveled the world, but maybe just caring for children is more important than that. Maybe being a good listener for someone, maybe encouraging people. Maybe these are better destinies, right? It's just a perspective. So I would say everyone's destiny is great, because we're all meant to be here, right? We're all, even though we've got our individual worlds and destinies, we're still co-creating something together. So everyone, and I've said this a few times too, even the people that annoy the crap out of you, that have taken the jibby jab, that that you can't wake up, that maybe a lot of our friends in the US are going to come into contact today, being Thanksgiving, right? Sitting around the table with family members, and you're like, these people are insane. But maybe they're supposed to be insane. Maybe that's their journey. Maybe that's to help you wake. Maybe they're not insane when you're not around. Maybe it's just for you, right? Just to wake you up and go, that's what I don't want to be. I need to go in a different direction. So I think I got off the track there, but I think everyone has got a destiny, and it's all great. It's all good. As long as you fulfill it and you get to the end and you're like, cool, I lived that life, not I lived someone else's bugger.
Yeah, if you're having a bad destiny, as you say, feminized Slayer, that's your responsibility, right? If by your definition your destiny is bad, meaning you don't like the life you're living, I could say, then the Jesus, this is an example of a bad destiny because you got killed. If that's true, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe his destiny was to live the way he lived and share what he shared, and to have the kind of experience that passed something along. I mean, I've heard we are all one. Maybe his predilection was to do what he did, or your predilection is to do what you do. So what's that old saying? Is like, a happy person isn't someone that gets everything they want, but wants everything they have.
They get, yeah, right, nice.
So it's more like kind of seeing what's around, being happy with it. I had to deal with some crazy people in this last 2 months trip, like some really people that made me insane in so many ways. And, it was getting me angry for a while. Campbell and I talked about this a little before we got on. But in the end, I just saw that these people were showing me how I didn't want to live my life, had to be careful to not go in these bad directions, which I saw as bad directions. So instead of trying to change anybody, I decided to practice the art of self-interrogation and see how I was being the same, as far as my personality or my choices were not so pretty according to me, so that I can change them, so that my destiny quite literally has changed over the last few weeks, simply because I've decided to not be certain ways that were shown to me that I didn't like.
And happy birthday to Joy now. Oh, it's just to Joy. Didn't it used to be to Joy now? Who knows? Happy birthday. If you refuse to see what's showing to you, then you're not going to end up in a good spot. And I did have, I think it was just JP said. Sorry, I'm trying to read all these comments. Everything. Someone said, "Is the system?" Oh, here it is. It's feminazi again. Do you think the matrix is the interference of our true potential destiny? I guess we need to define what matrix is, right? I talk a lot about the overlay, which I guess it's the same concept as Watiko. It's just that I don't believe it's like a prison planet. I don't believe that this place was created as a bad place for us to go. But I think it's been invaded. There's definitely a bad entity here, and this kind of goes back to also to Feminazi's previous comment that said some people have a bad destiny. Yes, that's how we perceive it. Like, Dr. Fauci, right? All these kind of people, Klaus Schwab. But is that a bad destiny? Is the question. How many people have they woken up through their actions? How much change have they caused? They're showing us what's been going on the whole time, right? But we're just seeing it now. All this stuff has been going on forever. We're only just seeing it, and so this is why I don't think there's any bad destiny. I think we're creating something together. And a good point of view is maybe these people who are doing the bad stuff, maybe they chose to do that. If we all chose to come here, maybe they chose, okay, I'll be the bad guy. I'll put up with all the crap, and ultimately to help everyone else, right? So nothing's good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Yeah, and I don't feel there's a matrix. I feel there's an invasion of our thoughts, and way too many people are listening to them, and way too many people are acting on them, and way too many people are not following their higher selves or their truer selves or their hearts or their love. And by not doing that, they're making this world. So I don't think anyone's asleep. I don't think there's any matrix. I think there's an invasion of propaganda, 24/7, 365, whether it's TV or school or your parents or your friends or your cell phones, especially these days. But it's our responsibility for listening to all that shit or not, and making it real or not. I can't hear you, Campbell.
Sorry, I put the mute on.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes back to this question, and this is, I think, where everyone's got to start is this a good place or a bad place? Is it for you or is it against you? Because really, everything else we do comes off that, right? If the world's a bad place and it's full of bad people and everyone's out to get you and, oh my God, it's a prison planet, well, you're kind of stuffed, right? You're stuffed at the start, but if it's not a bad place and if it's all for you, well, then you get to see all the opportunities, right? You get to do something, and we don't know the ultimate answers to any of these questions, but what we do have is choice. We can choose what we believe, right? And if we're creators, which I believe we are, then that's what we're going to create. So ultimately, what would happen is if the world's bad, you're just going to have a bad experience of life, right? It's going to be hard. You're going to create hard things. You're going to see everything as hard, everything is bad. But if you see it as good, you're going to enjoy it more. So even without knowing the ultimate answer, just enjoying the journey, I think, is a better option than not.
Yeah, I agree with you as well, just JP. It's a huge playground. Depends how you take it. When I took this world as a serious shithole, that's the kind of experiences I've had. And even though a lot of the outside hasn't changed, because in some ways it's still a serious shithole if you look around and how people are being and treating each other, for me it's changed because I've decided to play and to make my dream different by changing my perspective on what I need to create for myself in relation to where I feel my destiny could lie or lay, and what I need to do as far as the people around me. I mean, for 12 years, we did the New Agora, we did print, we made a very virtual community, and it worked, but it didn't. So for the last couple of months, I got to meet Campbell and I've been on the road. I've decided to go out and meet people face to face, decided to go out and interact with people. I've decided to go out and build a community. Campbell and I did our Practical Evolution event, which didn't attract a whole lot of people. And we even said this may never happen again. And recently we found it can never happen on the same land again. That was a one-shot opportunity. But through that, we made new friends. We made a new personal part of our community. Josh is going to maybe be on here soon, who's helping us, get the Flora Live essences out there. And, by going out there and deciding to change my destiny, to go on the road and not to just work as a virtual community, but go meet people, through that, a lot of my own life has changed. And, was it easy? Not at all. Was it hard? For sure. I'm still kind of sick having been on the road and changing, 11 airplanes over the last couple of months and being in, different people's homes and different foods and different time zones. But, through that challenge, I'm a better person. And I heard Sean say you must be single. No, I'm not single. I do have a lovely wife, and she just happens to like the journey I'm on as well. So together, we're going through all these different ways to be alive, and it's working very well for us.
I'm single. Poor little me. And hello, Robin. Robin's one of these people who helped me in America. She's sitting over there in Houston, Texas. Or is it
Hi, Robin.
Houston? I don't think they say T's in Texas. Houston. Yeah, hello, Robin. She makes good barbecue. And what was, not really here says it used to be a prison for me. That's much better now. I mean, that's proof, right? We create our reality. You can, if you see it as bad, that's what you're going to create, but you can change it. So, well done. Not really here. And are you really here? We don't know. We don't know. So much pressure to fit on people to fit into the material world. Exactly. But that's the scam. That's the illusion. Like I said, we all, sat at home for weeks, or most of us, and everything, the world didn't stop. And the truth is that we all have gifts and destinies, however you want to put it. And if we're all left to our own devices to do what we're good at, then we're going to have everything we need. But of course, we're shoved into jobs where we can't focus on what we want to do and what we're good at. We spend our lives creating money, and then they just devalue it. You just pay off your house and they devalue it and then tell you, ha, 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 you've still got to pay us tax or we're going to take your house anyway, right? And you find out it's a scam. But so you can spend your life game, or you can trust yourself and
Pardon me.
what's my destiny? What am I good at? What do I enjoy? What do I want to do? And just start walking in that direction with a bit of faith and a bit of trust. And what I've learned is it'll happen a lot faster than you think it will.
Yeah, and I was faced with all kinds of strange people in this world. When I flew from Vancouver to Edmonton, I couldn't sit beside my wife or my friend because it was a full plane, and I literally was sitting beside this guy that worked for one of the big vaccine companies. He was an older gentleman. He was on the thing, and he even told me, he must have been in his 70s, and he said, if I, and I have that mark from having had that rubella, whatever vaccine when I was 8 or 9 in public school, or 10 or however old you are. He said to me, well, if you had that vaccine, you can have me to thank, because, he's been literally working in the vaccine world for 40 years or 35 years. And he was a nice guy. He was laughing. He was telling jokes. I told Campbell the story. He got me into the rich man's club after the fact because he had extra tickets and he didn't need. So he got me and my friends into this place with free food and drinks and relaxing chairs and all this. And my voice said, this a-hole, I should be yelling and screaming at him. But my heart said, well, what's he doing? Why is he happy? He thinks he's doing the best for the world. He literally wanted to help change and keep people healthy, according to him, and he believed it. Was he a bad guy? Maybe he's just a misinformed guy. Do I think the vaccines and all that are unhealthy? Of course I do. I think they're very evil in some ways. But really what I'm getting at is in that moment, I changed my destiny. Instead of like sitting and steaming and feeling shitty and arguing with this guy for my 2-hour flight into Edmonton, I laughed with him and we joked. And, and I had a good experience and he had a good experience and his life is going to be his life. He's going to continue on, do what he needs to do. And he'll have his experiences from that. And his predilections will show him what it needs to show him. And mine will show me what they need to show me. But by not getting angry or wrestling or blaming anybody at all for my life, my circumstances changed for the better right in front of my eyes in that moment. And, I still don't really understand what happened other than the fact the world wanted me to see the demons face to face, maybe to forgive them and go, well, it's just another person doing the best they can and move from there and to see that, my destiny, if you blame other people, you literally tie your life up to them, right? If you go, it's their fault, then you're literally chaining yourself to the vaccine, to the government, to the monetary system, to the relationship, to the job. But if you free yourself from that, like Campbell mentioned, or somebody mentioned going down the river, if you're chained, you're not going to go anywhere. You have to unchain yourself, float down that river, direct yourself that way, and who knows where it's going to take you. Probably somewhere new and better, I would say.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I mean, a change, for things to change, things have to change. You have to do something different to get something different. And I was just reading these and I've completely lost my train of thought again. I'm not doing too well today, am I? But yeah, I mean, this is basically, the whole premise of this is, you get to choose your destiny, and whether you choose to enter the system and get a job and pay off a mortgage, that's still you choosing. So that's saying like, if you choose or you don't choose, you're still choosing, because choosing not to do something is still choosing, right? So you get to choose, or you get to choose to trust yourself. You get to choose that there's something better. someone put a comment saying, where does I can't find it. How does the sun rotate it or something? I
Yeah.
see it as rotating around me. You, awesome, and you can see the
Awesome.
world that way, right? You're the center. Everything, you're important. You're getting the sun's best energy. Awesome. And
Awesome.
some people walk around with, we've seen the cartoons, right, with the black rain cloud on top of them. So you get to choose. Imagine if everyone thought that the sun rotated around them just for them, and it was an amazing experience just to teach. I mean, we wouldn't have unhappy people. So this is really the main crux of it: is you get to choose. You get to choose your destiny, and whatever you choose is going to be correct, as far as I see it. You know, and sometimes that destiny may be correct just for a short time. It doesn't mean that's your be all and end all. You might have 5 years doing something awesome, and then start getting messages that you need to do something else. And if you ignore them, then everything that was awesome will probably implode and turn really bad until you change. So, yeah, it's all you guys. You have everything you need, and you have choice. So use it well, right?
So maybe changing patterns of destiny, getting back to the topic of this video, is a matter of seeing that you can change your patterns, which will change your destiny. You can see you're the creator. I mean, if there is a God, or there is a spirit, or there is a Buddha, or is there all of everything, however you want to look at it, why wouldn't, if we are the all of everything's children, let's say, want to give us what the all of everything has, which I would say would be a piece of the all of everything, which would give us the ability to create any reality in our lives that we want. And it's not about the law of attraction. I need $1 million and 6 sports cars and and 22 acres in the Bahamas. Maybe it's more like, what does your heart want, or what is your head telling you? Like Campbell said, you need the sports car and the Ferrari and the gold diamonds and the big shoes and the Armani suits. I mean, maybe that's just your way Tico talking to you, but maybe your heart is going, I just need to be happy. I just need to be healthy. I would just like some good food. I like to listen to the birds in the morning and smell the flowers in the evening, and have some nice friends around me. And probably, if you're listening to your better self or your higher self or your more loving self, you'll find your destiny is very approachable, probably more approachable than people think.
Yep, I agree. I mean, ultimately, we're the ones that are creating it, creating our destiny, or keeping ourselves from our destiny. We've said it before. I'll say it again. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
But the good stuff and the bad stuff, everything that you've created good, that's your fault too. Focus on that, right? And then you'll start to see that, and also focus on what your results are, and that'll start to sort of show you what you're running over in your head, in your subconscious, that's creating this reality that you're not enjoying so much. So,
So I just want to say before we get off, then, a little bit of a plug. Go to newagora.ca. There's some special ads for the holidays for Heart Mend and Healing Support and Blue Eyed Grass, Flora Live. Our link is there if you want to follow it through. And the reason I'm mentioning this is sometimes we get stuck in not knowing what the right thing may be to start or stop. Sometimes we have blocks in the ideas or the potential that we can do next. And I don't think there's an easy answer, but what I found from some of these Flora Live products, even the healing support I did last night, often they can give you hints about what you need to do, what you can act on, what you can start, what you can stop to make your life a little bit better in relation, again, to how you think your life should proceed. And I have found them to be very useful. The links will be below, and if anyone has any questions or suggestions, or wants to try them, or wants to discuss this with them, we'd be happy to help you along with these instances. Well, I guess the cat back there is agreeing that have helped
yes,
us out
here.
to get to a better life. But
Indeed, and the categories, and no hippie shake isn't a bot. She's the number one mod on YouTube. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you everyone in chat for all your comments and suggestions and everything. It was good. We got a bit more interactive in this one, which I think is good. We need to do more of that. And guys, you got everything you need inside. So get out there and use it. Make good decisions, make good actions, and you'll get good results.
yeah, I appreciate you all very much. Thank you for being here. Anybody has any questions or suggestions, leave the links below. Contact us through the website or any of our videos. We're happy to carry on to have more interactive chats, like Campbell mentioned. I like when people, get involved with us. It's a lot more fun.
Indeed, it is. All right, and for some reason something's changed, and I don't have I'll play our outro, but it's gonna say Florida. So we've been to Florida, so just ignore that bit. Go to the link below and check all that stuff out, guys. Love you all. Stay awesome, and we shall talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Stepping it up, taking a chance, risking it all. We're going crazy, stepping it up.